Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, continuing to take a look at all of the coaching changes across the country. And today we're headed to Mobile, Alabama, where the South Alabama Jaguars out of the Sun Belt Conference fired their head coach, Steve Campbell, after 3 years with the program. And you look at Campbell, guys, 3 years down in Mobile. He came in from Central Arkansas, where he had a very solid run there in the FCS. When it happened back in 2018, I thought this was a solid hire. I thought, the FCS to the Sun Belt isn't a major jump. Obviously, the FCS to FBS is still a big deal, but it's not like he's going from FCS to Power 5 to the SEC or Big Ten. I thought this was a good step up for Steve Campbell. It just did not pan out. He went 9-26 in 3 years with the program, just 6-18 in Sun Belt Conference play. And the ironic thing about all of this is that 2020, in a year marred by the pandemic, so much uncertainty, 2020 was actually Campbell's best year with South Alabama, going 4-7. He went 3-9 in 2018. He went 2-10 in 2019. Won 4 games in 2020. It's crazy. It's crazy how that works. But Steve Campbell out at South Alabama. Now they've got a new head man, and it's a good one. It's a dang good hire. Kane Wommack from Indiana. The Indiana defensive coordinator coming in to become the new head coach at South Alabama. Now, before we talk about what Wommack did at Indiana, let's look back a little bit further. Not too much further, just back to 2016. Wommack has ties and had ties to South Alabama. And that's why this hire was so intriguing. I think this is why Wommack chose to go here, while many thought he could jump ship for a better defensive coordinator job or maybe go to a more appealing destination as a head coach. He came to Mobile because I think he had connections there. And he did well there. In 2016, Wommack was South Alabama's defensive coordinator. He was the Jaguars' defensive coordinator from 2016 to 2017. 2016 also just so happened to be the last time that South Alabama made a bowl game. They've only made 2 bowl games in history. The one in 2016 was one of them, and I can assure you that it was no coincidence that Kane Wommack was on that staff. No coincidence at all that Wommack was on the staff of just one of the 2 bowl teams in South Alabama history. With the Jaguars, during his time there, he had the 5th most improved scoring defense in the country. They improved by 10.3 points per game on the defensive side of the ball. He had a top 10 passing defense at South Alabama, guys. South Alabama in the Sun Belt. And he carried over that style of defense, that defensive style, that tenacity of going after the ball, breeding ball hawks in the secondary. Took that to Indiana. He was their defensive coordinator from 2019 to 2020. And like we said, if you watched college football, you saw how great Indiana's defense was this past season. In 2020 alone, this last year, the Cinderella team, I would say, them and Coastal Carolina, I think, were the top 2 surprises in college football this year. Indiana had 17 interceptions. 17 interceptions in 2020. They allowed 241 passing yards per game, allowed just 20.2 total points per game. That was good for 20th in the country. In the both years he was defensive coordinator, 2019 and 2020, he fielded a top 50 defense. And I think this last year in 2020 was even more spectacular because, yes, while Indiana did not win their bowl game over Ole Miss, they were struggling offensively down the stretch. They never really had much of a run game. And when Michael Penix went down with his injury, the defense was the side of the ball that had to step up the most. And I think the most impressive feat of all that was when Indiana went on the road and beat Wisconsin at Camp Randall Stadium, beat them 14-6, a pitcher's duel. The offense got the points on the board, but they held Wisconsin to 6 points on their home turf. And that was all because of Kane Wommack and the job that he did. He was long, I think over the last few years, long overdue for a head coaching gig, and he's got one now, again, at a place that he's familiar with. And that's what I think is so important here with the South Alabama hire is they are bringing in a guy who knows the program already. Yes, it's been a few years. Yes, things have changed, but you're bringing in a guy who knows the area, who did well here the first time around, probably still has connections around here, and is looking to make South Alabama a perennial bowl team. And they need help on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, he inherits a solid quarterback in Desmond Trotter. Kind of came out of nowhere in 2020. Threw for over 1,900 yards, 11 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions. But defensively, the Jaguars allowed 27.3 points per game. They allowed over 260 passing yards per game. Only had 7 interceptions. Remember, Indiana had 17 this year alone. In 2019, the Jaguars allowed 30.7 points per game. Had just 9 interceptions. So 2019 and 2020 combined, South Alabama had 16 interceptions. 2020 alone, Indiana had 17 interceptions. Yes, it takes some talent out on the field to get those interceptions. It takes some coaching to know how to do that. And Wommack is responsible for that. And you're going to see a very significant change on the defensive side of the ball, I feel like, on the sidelines in Mobile in 2021 and the years going forward as well. So, what do we grade this hire? What do we grade the hire down in Mobile? Kane Wommack, the new head man at South Alabama. He's a young coach, just 33 years old, an energetic coach. We knew he was going to go take a head coaching job somewhere. We just didn't know where. This is where he lands, and I'm going to give this hire an A. I'm giving it a solid A, because he has done a remarkable job everywhere he has been. He's just 33 years old, guys, and he has held 3 different defensive coordinator positions at 3 different levels. He held a defensive coordinator position at Eastern Illinois. He held a defensive coordinator position at South Alabama back in 2016 and 2017. Then went to Indiana, their defensive coordinator from 2019 to 2020. All of that in his 20s and very early 30s. That's extremely impressive. That's very hard to do. And that means that you're a very special coach, very talented, very smart to be that young and being given that type of responsibility. Now he's 33. He has control over an entire team. He is the leader, the face of an entire team. I think he's going to do a dang good job. We're giving Kane Wommack an A higher here because I genuinely believe that maybe as early as 2022, that South Alabama can begin to contend for bowl games year in and year out. And every now and then, contend for a Sun Belt title. The conference is improving drastically. Coastal, Appalachian State, Louisiana, Arkansas State dealing with a new head coach, but should be back to form soon. Troy every now and then. Georgia Southern. The Sun Belt is no slouch anymore. South Alabama needed a boost. They've got it. Kane Wommack will have them contending very, very soon, and he will meet the expectations that South Alabama has for him down in Mobile very, very soon as well. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. An A grade for Kane Wommack at South Alabama. Make sure to check out everything down in that description below. So much off-season content to help you guys get through it. I know it's rough. I know it's going to be long, but we've got you covered every step of the way. So check it out down in the description. You do not want to miss it. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.